All right, Journey into Fascia with special guest John F. Barnes, PT, the original fascia man, speaks with me about myofascial release and the future of healthcare. In an ideal world, everybody would meet John F. Barnes, PT, and experience his angelic presence and his therapeutic, powerful healing touch. He is an extraordinary visionary, an authority on myofascial release, a big kahuna, a compassionate physical therapist, a teacher, a father, and a friend. He reminds me of my late grandpa. Beyond all that, he is a kind human being. He is real. I mean it. Nonfiction. It's hard to fathom, but trust me, John F. Barnes is no joke nor a hack. He will tell you not to believe a word he says, just to inspire your skepticism. If you suffer from chronic pain, he will have you melting down and releasing ancient trauma within 5 minutes of applying his unique assessment and treatment skills. He has taught over 100,000 therapists, including PTs, massage therapists, nurses, doctors, and other healthcare providers. At the young age of 84, to be 85 as of February 3rd, 2024, John has agreed to take some time out of his busy, non-retired schedule today and chat with us about myofascial release and the future of healthcare. Hello, John. How are you doing today?
Hi, Magda. I'm doing great. Thank you for the nice words. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you from the spirals of my fascial heart for this education. You're truly an inspiration. You've been treating patients and fascia for over 50 years, and your results are incredible. And because of my education with you, I had a client coming in this week calling me a magician because she has not had knee pain in over 2 years since the last time that I treated her. And so I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what fascia is and what is myofascial release for all those people who think that we are magicians.
Okay. Well, fascia is a tough connective tissue. Those of you that may have learned something about the fascia, it was pretty much incorrect. In fact, most physicians and therapists hardly learned anything at all about the fascial system. When I was in physical therapy school, University of Pennsylvania, during the anatomy classes, we dissected the cadavers. The anatomy professor told us, just referring to the fascia, just cut it off and throw it away. It's just useless packing material. Well, it turns out from our experience of over 50 years, people from all over the world, the fascia is probably the most important material in your body because it's also your mind. Our mind has been ignored in healthcare, and we'll get back into that in just a little bit. However, the fascia infuses, covers, surrounds every aspect of your body from head to toe without interruption. So it's a global system. And because it's a global system, it requires very different principles than what's been taught in the past. What's been taught in the past is basically an attempt to force a system that can't be forced. Because since we are dealing with the mind, when you put too much force into the system, our wonderful mind goes into protection. That's why too many times traditional therapy only produces temporary results. It's very frustrating for everybody. It's frustrating for therapists and physicians too, because pretty much what we were taught to do is basically impossible. And therapists, physicians are good people. They've worked very hard to learn what they were taught. And now we're finding out that what we were taught is totally inadequate based on erroneous assumptions. In fact, all of the research done on the fascial system has been done on dead people. And as you and I have talked about before, dead people have no consciousness, and dead people are brittle. It turns out that the fluid in our body, the fascia is the conduit for all the fluid, nutrition in your body, and oxygen. And so when that is restricted, it's blocking our ability to thrive properly. So if it turns out that fascia is vital for your health on mental, emotional, and physical.
And I find that so fascinating that your definition of health is all encompassing of the mental, the physical, and the emotional. Being a physical therapist, how did you come to discover that the mental component and the emotional component are also very important and benefit from myofascial release?
Well, I didn't take any course on this. It came from my personal experience with pain.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I was an athlete. I played flat football. I ran track. I skied, drove motorcycles. I got involved in competitive karate and competitive weightlifting. And one day I went down to the gym to work out, and there was nobody there to spot me. So I was doing squats with somewhere over 300 pounds, but I got to the point where I couldn't get up. So I'd been a gymnast when I was younger. So I thought I'll just do a back roll to get out of this. Forget it. You have a 300-pound bar in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Your hands don't let go. So I crashed into the ground with tremendous force. I herniated the disc at L5, low back area. I ripped a lot of ligaments in the sacroiliac and lumbar area. And I laid there stunned. And in that instant, the things that I love the most, competition, emotion, were taken from me. I was numb from the waist down. Now, before we go any further, let me just say that one of the primary principles I teach now in my Myofascial Release seminars is that we have a survival mechanism. To remind me, we'll come back and talk about that a little bit later. It's very important. But what happens is somehow our feeling intelligence, which is a form of energy, leaves our body. The purpose is to numb you out, to save your life many times. And so that I was laying there, and I didn't have words for it back then. But that numbness began to wear off. And then as the numbness wore off, the pain began. Mm-hmm. It was horrible. I laugh about it now, but I had to crawl out of the gym. And my life had drastically changed that instant. I tried every form of therapy, massage known to mankind. Nobody wanted to get better more than I did. But it was nothing but temporary results. It was so frustrating. And I went to a friend's house. He was a radiologist. He invited me up to a ski house to ski. But I couldn't ski. He saw how much pain I was in. So he convinced me to go to see a friend of his who was an orthopedic surgeon. And they decided to do a lumbar fusion on me. So that helped the pain, but it did cut the intensity, and I could move a little better, but I still was hurting a lot and couldn't move that good, you know. So out of total frustration, what I would do is lay on my living room floor, and I would start to push into those areas that hurt. I was still very strong, so I was trying to bull my way through. And as a child, I was very intuitive, as most of you were. What has happened to most of us, though, in school, it kind of ridiculed your intuition and beat it out of you because we were expected to be linear and logical. In fact, that's what we're taught about the human being. It was linear and logical. And all the techniques that therapists learned were based on the linear logical body. But there's a problem with that. Our body is neither linear nor logical. So we're given the wrong roadmap to reality. So my intuition started to speak to me. I think my trauma actually woke my intuition up again. So a lot of you that have been going through some pretty rough stuff, start to pay more attention to your intuition. Because our intuitive and instinctive side, which is actually the healing zone, So if you remind me too, let's go back and talk about my concept of channel 3 and channel 5. In that event, as I lightened up, I started to make more progress. Then my intuition told me to be more patient, to wait longer. So I did that. And I started to have this remarkable turnaround. So what it turns out is that all traditional therapy is too quick. And there's a number of phenomena that requires the light touch, one that's connected to that person you're dealing with. And the time is incredibly important. So we'll talk about that in a little bit too.
Myofascial Release essentially is based on this healthcare model that is made up of three main components: the structural aspect, the unwinding aspect, and the rebounding aspect is something that John teaches at his seminars to this day, mainly in Sedona or the Sedona area. Is that correct, John? You're still active in that area?
Yeah.
Yeah. And his courses, I think the next ones, I was just looking this up, they're kind of lined up for February and March of 2024. Learn how to rebound yourself. You can learn how to unwind yourself. You can learn how to treat yourself, which is incredible. And John also has these courses where, as a patient, you can go and experience his presence and his teachings. Again, there's one coming up in February in 2024 called the Healing Seminar. You can come with me as one of my patients. You can bring your family, you can bring your friends, and have it be a retreat, an authentic healing retreat, which I highly recommend.
If you need more information, just go to our website, myofascialrelease.com, and there's a schedule there. There's also a directory how to find a therapist near you also.
So as the fascia man, where do you see yourself and Myofascial Release in the next 5 years?
I'll be 90 then. I have no clue. Look, I've trained over 100,000 therapists, way over that. Actually, we stopped counting after a while. And Myofascial Release is being utilized for millions of patients a month now. So it's growing exponentially. And so it's really taking off like wildfire. I think that the chaos you mentioned going out in our outside world, it really behooves us all to learn how to center ourselves. Receive Myofascial Release from a very good myofascial therapist. And be careful, because there's a lot of copycat courses that have popped up because they seem that we're successful. But they're teaching the old form of Myofascial Release. Brute force, trying to force the system that can't be forced. So don't waste your time or money. And I had a recent trauma, so I can't travel too much. So right now I'm doing most of the seminars in the Sedona area, which is hell because it's the most beautiful place in the world. But, I'll deal with it.
I think the concept of spreading like wildfire, it's accurate. And I also, for me, it feels urgent. And from an urgent perspective, I feel like, okay, well, maybe that's channel 5 and don't panic about the state of the world because everything's going to be fine. But I think it really, truly is so necessary on a global level to know that people can learn how to do this for themselves. And, ideally, yes, you want to find a therapist and you want to be in the presence of somebody who can show you what the touch feels like. It's not just energy work. There's an actual felt component.
As far as this global thing happening, it is horrible and it's going to get worse. This is why it behooves us to learn how to center ourselves. Those of us that are centered will be able to help other people in a very significant way to get through this mess. Those that aren't centered, it's sad, but they're in big trouble. What you're talking about is, in the scientific terminology for this global chaos, it's called morphic resonance. Some of you may have heard of the monkey theory. There's a group of scientists studying a breed of monkeys on an island off of Japan. And the island had a physical characteristic where there was a mountain range that went right through the middle of it with tremendous verticality. In other words, you couldn't go from one side to the other. So they're watching these monkeys, and they would dig things out of the ground, let's say they're potatoes, and they eat them. One day, one of the monkeys dropped her potato, and it rolled down a hill and into a creek and washed the mud off of it. She picked it up and ate it, and she liked the mud off it, so she started to wash her potato. Her little brood watched this behavior, and they started to wash their potatoes. And then supposedly it got to the 99th monkey washing their potatoes. So supposedly at the 100th monkey, all the monkeys on the opposite side of the island started to wash the potatoes. So, you look into the information from Dr. Rupert Sheldrake. He's a professor at Cambridge University in England. And he's written a wonderful book that you and I can relate to called The Presence of the Past. It's all the past information is locked in the fascial system. So he calls it morphic resonance. So what he's saying is, and what our experience has been, is when you reach a certain critical mass, that information becomes available to all. So we have to go through this chaotic period, but eventually this information will be much more available to everybody. And as they learn then to get into this very wise, loving, compassionate way of being, it's going to help people in a very significant way.
Well, thank you for being such a big part of that movement. It's very exciting. It gives me hope for the future. It gives me hope for future generations. And, I feel like it almost inspires me to continue to be messenger, continue to provide the work and attend as many courses, recruit as many people, and keep living our best lives to the best of our ability from that perspective.
You're doing a great job, and everybody I talk to loves you, so you're doing a wonderful job.
Oh, thank you. There's a lot of love coming at you as well. And I think also, again, that's like in massage therapy school, we learn, a lot about boundaries. Oh, there's some beeping over here. We talk about, do you hear that beeping?
No.
There's like
that's the butterfly in the skull's head back there.
Oh,
that's
yeah. Yeah, this is fun. So my point was just speaking about having a healthy love for the people in your life on a professional and therapeutic level. I think that is also very important. And I know that, your instructors, your students, your patients has this genuine, authentic, healthy, professional, therapeutic love. And I feel like it goes both ways. And I think that in itself helps fascia melt. It helps boundaries soften, and it helps people to heal. So,
important point. I think what I've found is that love, trust, safety is a word to people. When you get involved with Myofascial Release, you experience true love, true safety, and can trust again. It changes our life.
Yeah. Trusting is very important, for sure. Well, I trust that everyone has had a lovely experience getting to know about Myofascial Release and about the future of healthcare. In an ideal world, everybody would meet John F. Barnes and experience his powerful healing touch. Everyone will reconnect and learn to reconnect with their true essence and bring their highest potential into reality. I envision that our highest potential is rooted in kindness, peace, love, and courage. I believe the world urgently needs more of this. To find out more about his seminars, treatment centers, books, and DVDs, go to myofascialrelease.com. Get yourself to one of these incredible seminars as soon as possible. There's always a wonderful community of MFR therapists at these seminars waiting to exchange the power of healing touch. The power of a myofascial release hug, as we call it. If you'd like to get started today, there are books available and my 30-day Journey into Fascia program, which is created for you to immerse yourself into more theory and practice of JFB myofascial release in the comfort of your own home. It's a self-guided, self-paced online guide to therapeutic self-mastery. It is inspired by the wisdom in this conversation that I just shared with John F. Barnes, and also with my mission to help you treat yourself better. John has written the foreword for the supplemental guidebook of Journey into Fascia, and here is an excerpt by John for you to enjoy.
In the foreword, what I did write was she's also a great athlete. She's become immersed in many different martial arts, and I think that helped her be the mastery level of myofascial release that she's achieved. The thing that taught me about energy too was karate, and also weightlifting taught me how to focus. When you lift a heavy weight, you have to get your hands positioned correctly, get your body in a proper alignment, then you explode. And that took total focus. So the martial arts that you did, I'm sure, taught you a lot about energy, balance, and grace, and really prepared you to follow the myofascial principles on the level that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. The story I shared with you about kickboxing in Thailand, I was at a kickboxing training session. It was one of my first times learning martial arts and thinking I was really kicking the target how I should be. And my coach was very gracious and very patient. And he just kept telling me to hit a little harder and to give it all I got. And I was just constantly like, I'm doing what I can. And then it was an outdoor ring, and I must have stepped on something because I felt this surge of energy go through me, and I just smashed the target. And I thought he was going to go flying, and I thought he was going to be really mad at me. But no, he was like, that's it. That's exactly how I want you to execute every kick from now on. And then I realized that I had stepped on a wasp. So I was like, well, we're done right now, but thank you for the lesson. And that was truly such a beautiful example of how energy can really change when you're not thinking. You're literally just feeling and letting it move through you. Very powerful stuff.
Absolutely. You did a great job. It was really nice talking to you.
It was really lovely to see you again. Thank you so much for your time. I'll see you at a seminar soon.